I never make a decision that the community doesn't want. This is a community-driven process.
For the past 8 years, Cindy Bass has controlled the organization that was set up to keep the Germantown Commercial District clean. That organization is the Germantown Special Services District. It collected taxes from the property owners in the amount of $240,000 per year, specifically to keep the streets clean. Cindy Bass appointed every board member, including 2 of her staff members. This puppet board could not move without Cindy's okay. This year, the business and property owners said enough and prevented its reauthorization. And Cindy has forgotten that she is supposed to be community-driven. Chestnut Hill and Mount Airy have business improvement districts with boards elected by and composed of the people who pay the taxes in a democratic process. But Cindy does not want this for Germantown. She is on record as saying she will never approve a bid. Germantown High School closed in 2013. It operated as a high school for 100 years and is a Germantown landmark. While other public school buildings that closed have been repurposed, Germantown High School sits vacant and undeveloped. Amazingly, this large property sold for only $100,000 to Concordia. Their proposal was to make it a disciplinary school for troubled children. The community pushed back with a strong voice, and for years nothing happened. Then last year, a proposal to put 2 large box stores and a parking lot on the front lawn appeared on the internet. This raised a new outcry from the community.
Whether you live in Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, Germantown, Nicetown, Tioga, Olney, Logan, any of the neighborhoods that we represent in the 8th District, it is always a community-driven process, and it always will be, regardless of who the attorney is, regardless of who the developer is, regardless of who the contractors are, regardless if it's union or non-union, it is always a community-driven process.
The property had been flipped to a new developer named Jack Azran, who recently held a fundraiser for Cindy Bass. And the developer's attorney is a close friend of the councilwoman. Fulton Elementary is across the street and was included in the sale for $500,000. Senior housing has been proposed for Fulton by the same developer, but how long will this take? The Women's Y on Germantown Avenue closed in 2006. It was purchased by the Germantown Settlement with a loan from the Redevelopment Authority for over $1 million. No payments were ever made on this loan. In 2014, Cindy blocked a developer who was approved by the Redevelopment Authority, while community stakeholders voiced approval for its development as senior housing. It is adjacent to Center in the Park, a well-managed senior center. Cindy finally approved an out-of-town development firm who has not moved forward, and so it sits vacant 12 years later. The community needs and wants affordable housing for its seniors. Where is Cindy on this issue? Town Hall on Germantown Avenue is owned by the city. It has been vacant since the 1990s. Efforts have been made repeatedly by the community to spearhead its development. A few years ago, it was part of Hidden City. Events were held over 3 weeks to inspire its reuse. Cindy didn't participate with the dozens of people who met to collaborate on ideas. Where is Cindy on this issue? Word has it that publicly owned buildings are not sold without the councilwoman's approval. The Boys and Girls Club stands on the unit block of Penn Street, and it has operated compatibly with the Penn Knox community for over 100 years. In 2017, a major campaign was launched together with Comcast and the Snyder Foundation to tear down this historic structure and build an ice hockey rink.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Everything we do in the 8th District is always, always, always community-driven.
The surrounding neighborhood was never consulted about these plans. A tent was erected on the grounds, and officials were invited to an event to announce the plans. The press was invited, but not the community. The Penn Knox neighborhood fought hard against the proposal while enduring charges of racism. Where was Cindy on this issue? She appeared at the Historical Commission on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club, but she was not with the community. Cindy's connection with Emanuel Freeman was well established before anyone learned that he had been illegally collecting rents from tenants in Germantown for 10 years. Time to hold your nose because this smells. In 2016, PGW cut off the gas in Hamel Mills, a 40-unit apartment building occupied by elderly and low-income residents. The news reported that Cindy came to the rescue. She knew that Freeman owned the building and where to find him. She contacted him immediately, and the $60,000 bill was paid, and the heat turned on like magic. The financing of Hamel Mills was part of a package loan to Greater Germantown Housing Development Corporation in the 1990s. Emanuel Freeman was head of GGHDC and controlled its empire. After years of mismanagement, GGHDC declared bankruptcy. Freeman took over ownership for his personal use and continued collecting rent without rental licenses. But it was not until 2018 when a few community activists caught wind that the Redevelopment Authority had approved Freeman's application to have over $3 million in low-interest mortgage loans forgiven. Cindy had to know about this forgiveness of public debt in advance. The Redevelopment Authority would typically have gotten her approval before acting to approve Freeman's application. The head of the Redevelopment Authority stated at a public meeting that they had made a mistake in approving the loan forgiveness. But what about Cindy? Shouldn't she be held accountable for the blight caused by Freeman during the 8 years of her tenure as city councilwoman?
Well, I will just say this, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Everything we do in the 8th District is always, always, always community-driven.
The Colonial Germantown Avenue Historic District was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1955. This was before the National Register of Historic Places was even established. Along with Brooklyn Heights in New York City and Georgetown in Washington, D.C., Germantown Avenue was among the first historic districts in America. Yet, 60 years have passed and its buildings are still not protected from demolition. With only 2% of its buildings listed officially on the Philadelphia Register, 98% could still be demolished. Germantown is an amazing historic place, but it is not just the buildings that matter. The buildings are Germantown's unique asset. They belong to the current residents and the entire community. These buildings should be repurposed while maintaining their historic integrity. We need new leadership that recognizes the importance of these issues. Current leadership obviously does not. Please help move Germantown ahead while remembering its past. Vote on November 5th for new leadership in City Council. Vote for the independent candidate who is a longtime member of our community, Greg Palmier.